the pressure from Maupay. Referee Atkinson feeling that the Frenchman caught Leno.
Trouble is, Leno was in such good form.
June 20th, 2020. Brighton hosts Arsenal on matchday 30 of the Premier League. Brighton won 2-1, but the world was more focused on one man.
Maupay, you are an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat. I hope Brighton get relegated.
Neal Maupay injured Bernd Leno when contesting a ball, which caused Leno to land very awkwardly. I mean, look at his leg. Legs are not meant to bend that way. To make things worse, Maupay went on to score the winner of the match. So what if I told you that Maupay injuring Leno went on to cause one of the biggest domino effects in the history of football? Hey everyone, welcome back to World of Foot. My name's Eddie, and today we're going to take a deep dive into how this man indirectly caused Messi to lift the World Cup trophy in Doha. There are many domino effects in the football world, but this is probably one of the biggest. Arsenal was not having a good season that year. They finished in 8th place, 10 points back from top 4. Considering how they've been doing this season, their rebuild has been paying off. Brighton, on the other hand, finished in 15th that season, but we all know how well they have flourished since that 2019-20 season. Going into that match, both teams were looking for 3 points to lift them higher in the table. Brighton was trying to break free from those relegation battle spots, and Arsenal was pushing to get to those European spots. The game was definitely scrappy. 21 total fouls, 3 yellows, and after Leno was hurt, it boiled over. Players were pushing each other around, and once the final whistle blew, the Arsenal players beelined it straight to Maupay. Arsenal definitely felt like Maupay purposely went out of his way to injure Leno. You can be the judge of that by looking at the clip. I mean, it's a tough one, but I kind of gotta side with the Gunners on this one. With Leno being forced off due to that injury, Arsenal had no choice but to play their backup, Emi Martinez, El Dibu. Martinez first signed for Arsenal in 2012 and was loaned out 6 times in the total of 8 years he was at the club. This was his time to prove that he could be Arsenal's number 1. Emi ended up playing the rest of the season for the Gunners and was also their key man in between the sticks for their triumphant FA Cup victory over Chelsea. Emi showed his quality as a keeper, but sadly his time at Arsenal came to an end. Aston Villa purchased El Dibu for £17 million. Arsenal in turn signed Brighton's keeper Matthew Ryan on loan. The transfer ended up working well for both sides though. Martinez finally got the chance to be a consistent starter for a Premier League club, and Arsenal the following year brought in their current number 1, Aaron Ramsdale, which they signed from Sheffield United for £28 million. Argentina at that time had Franco Armani and Geronimo Rulli as their keepers. They were having a difficult time replacing Sergio Romero, who was a pivotal keeper for their 2014 World Cup run. With no solidified number 1, Scaloni included Emi Martinez to play for Argentina in their World Cup qualifiers and Copa America. This decision turned out to be one of the key factors for their eventual Copa America and World Cup triumphs. Emi has become a notorious player with his antics, memes, and overall vibe. He's one of those players that you either love him or you hate him. Many people were disgusted by his acts with the Golden Glove trophy in Qatar, but it doesn't seem to bother Emi. In 3 years, he won an FA Cup, Copa America, Super Finalissima, and a World Cup. This is all thanks to Neal Maupay. Well, and the GOAT.
Messi.
Emi is the only one who was positively affected by this domino effect. Leno lost his spot to Ramsdale at Arsenal and then was sold to Fulham for a measly £3.6 million. There's a question of why Arsenal didn't keep Emi and just sell Leno, who was worth more at the time, but hindsight's 2020, so you can't really fault the Gunners for that. Maupay hasn't had the best time since that faithful game at Fulham Stadium either. I mentioned Maupay in my Downfall of Everton video. If you haven't watched that, make sure to go check it out. Maupay was sold to Everton for £18 million and only has managed 1 goal and 1 assist in 26 games for the Toffees. It's crazy to think about how a player from France injured a German player, which ended up having an Argentinian help their nation get the most prestigious trophy in the football world. Aston Villa was impressed by Emi in the final parts of the season and needed to replace Tom Heaton between the sticks. Villa has now turned into a very strong team with the one and only Mr.
Good evening.
at the helm. Unai Emery also coached Emi at Arsenal, and this whole debacle came full circle, which is not a common thing in the football world. Another piece of this whole domino effect is how Guendouzi ended up being loaned out to Hertha Berlin. He was a protagonist in the scuffle at the end of the game in Brighton. He first hit Maupay with something that you would usually see from the Detroit urban survival training guy. He then allegedly proceeded to mock Maupay over how Brighton players are being paid compared to Arsenal. What's ironic is Maupay was being paid £49,000 a week at the time, compared to Guendouzi's £40,000 salary. Guendouzi's antics that game was just one of many times that the Frenchman let his emotions get the best of him. Once the season ended, he was loaned out to Hertha Berlin, then loaned to Marseille, who then purchased him for 11 million euros. With Guendouzi gone, Arsenal replaced him with Thomas Partey, who has been a big part of the Arsenal squad. 8 out of the 11 players that started that day at Brighton for Arsenal are no longer at the club. The Arsenal team then was nowhere near the level it is now. The sale of El Dibu that following transfer window was the only sale that brought in money. The rest of the departures were loans and free transfers. Emi showed his class at Villa, and when it came to the Copa America in 2021, he had the most clean sheets at the tournament with 4. Dibu got the recognition of the world during that semifinal against Colombia, where the game went into penalties, and Martinez showed off his mind games against the opposition. The tournament was played with no fans in the stands, so you could hear everything going on.
They played together on separate teams in England. And another save, Martinez, 2 in a row.
Emi danced, yelled, taunted, and it ended up working because he saved 3 penalties, which got Argentina to the final, where they would eventually defeat Brazil 1-0 in the Maracanã. Many people were divided by the antics, but regardless of opinion, it obviously was effective. Dibu spent most of his career trying to prove why he deserves a chance to be a starter for not only his club, but for his nation. Emi won the Best Goalkeeper award for that Copa America. Just 1 year later, Emi was the man in between the sticks for Argentina in the World Cup, where not only did he win the Best Goalkeeper award, he was a hero of his nation against France in that final. A last-minute save against Kolo Muani, and saving Kingsley Coman's penalty, and he used his mind games to throw off Tchouaméni. It's crazy how a Brighton striker injuring an Arsenal goalkeeper created a domino effect that allowed Argentina and the GOAT to lift the coveted World Cup. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure to comment below on what you want to see next. And yeah, guys, don't forget to join the Discord server where we can watch matches and have footy discussions. Much love, everyone, and don't forget to leave a like on the video. Thanks again for watching the domino effect that led Argentina to World Cup glory. Peace.